Okay, folks, it is 7 o'clock. Let's kick this off and get going. Tonight's meeting for Lewis and Clark Trail on the Air is for our activators for W7AIA. So the agenda for tonight, I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. I'll show you the agenda. The agenda for tonight is we're going to take a briefly talk about the schedule. I'm going to step you through the operating guide. I am not going to read the operating guide for you, but all the headers on the operating guides are probably subjects we can just talk on. I'll just give you probably the most important things. We'll also bring up the web page and show you what you need to see as an activator to log in, how to schedule your activity, and then also what you can do for logging options. And that's pretty much the agenda of what we'll go through tonight, and then just a couple of reminders at the end. Any questions on what we're meeting on tonight or any agenda items?
No.
Okay.
Yeah, Tim, this is Tom. I printed out everything you've sent out so far, and I have it in this file folder. But I started to read it, and then I needed to get on the stuff for the Hazeldale Parade. So I will get back and continue reading, as I don't want to ask a dumb question like I've done in the past with the Hazeldale stuff.
I hate to say it, there's a quiz at the end, and you're not going to do very well if you haven't read this ahead of time. So,
wrong folder.
So
But
let's just go ahead and
here it can be an open book test.
It is an open book, but let's just go ahead and jump into this. And as we go through this, if you have a question on the subject that we're talking on, go ahead and interrupt me, raise your hand. I'm not monitoring the chat, by the way, so please don't put anything in the chat because I can't see the chat and share my screen at the same time. I possibly can, I'm just not that functional to do that. So anyways, let's start with the schedule. By the way, and also, if you can't see what's on my screen, also speak up. I got a fairly large screen here, so I know the type can be sometimes kind of small for everyone else. So if you need me to make it bigger, I can make it a little bit bigger yet. Okay, not hearing anything. Moving on. So the schedule. So we actually start operating June 1st, 000 UTC. If you're not a familiar contester, then and you're more familiar with local time zones and time, then this is actually going to be Friday night at 5 p.m. on May 31st. So we're literally going to go start local time, Pacific time, 5 o'clock on Friday, May 31st. That's the, night of CPAC. A half day of CPAC, right? When people get stuff set up and a couple of seminars. And then we're going to go all the way through June 16th, which is a Sunday at 5 p.m. local time. So 5 p.m. to 5 p.m. For us locally, it's May 31st through June 16th. And you can operate at any of those times. During the week, in the middle of the night, it doesn't matter. For the modes, single sideband voice, FM phone, where the bands allow it, CW, of course, and then we're allowing you to operate either FT8 or FT4 for the digital modes. There are absolutely no other digital modes that are allowed. These are the only modes that we're allowing folks to operate on. Now, if you haven't done FT8 before, FT4, I can't help you with that necessarily on your setup. We do have some instructions. I've done FT8 myself before, so I do know that there are some small things you can tweak on there, and we'll get into that when we start showing some examples on how you can adjust one of the lines to call for CQ. But if you really want to go hardcore with FT8 and make modifications, I'm probably not the guy that can help you with that. But as we go through the different modes, I will talk more about what the exchange is, because it's slightly different for CW and voice than it is for digital. These are the bands we're operating on. 2 meters, 6 meters, 10, 15, 20, 40, and 80. Basically all the same bands that we do for contesting. Even though this is an operating event, we probably could use the work bands. We're not. These are the bands that we've selected. These are the bands that we've asked all our activators, all the other clubs to be on.
Hey, Tim,
Yeah, Brian.
for the 2 meter, are we allowed to use the club repeaters, or are we doing simplex, or how are we doing that?
It's all simplex. Typically, we don't allow the repeaters to be used for these type of events, and we have not asked our own club for permission to use the repeaters for this type of event. So I would say we're looking at simplex for all of these.
Okay.
Now, if you want to run split for some reason, I think that's okay. Like on the HF bands, I wouldn't recommend it because unless you're in a heavy contest, most people out there that are casual operators don't understand how split works, and they'll call you on your calling frequency instead of on your receiving frequency. So I would just say the simplest thing is just run simplex. Don't use any repeaters.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, sign up. So I'm assuming I think everybody here so far, I'm looking at the names, have signed up, and therefore you've already have an account. So you should have gotten an email invite that says, welcome to the Lewis and Clark Trail on the Air. It'll ask you for your email address or your call sign, and it'll ask you to set a password. If you're on this call and you haven't done that yet, please let me know now.
I have not done that yet.
You haven't done that, Brian?
I haven't signed in and gotten an account and a password. You sent me the invite, but I've been waiting to jump in to see if I actually want to do it.
Well, I tell you what, if you sign in as an account, it doesn't, you can see what the operating schedule is. You can read the operating guide, and, no harm, no foul.
Okay.
Hey, Tim, this is Gary Gerhardt.
Yeah, Gary.
Yeah, I tried to go to your link that was in your early May email to go in and register. And when I went to it today, it said it couldn't find the page. But I got into the Lewis and Clark site and found that I already had a password and so forth from last year. Is that still going to work for me?
No, you're going to have to use one from this year. So let me go to the user invitations right now. And let's see, these are the pending. So I got Rick Aragon. I'm going to resend this to you. It looks like you have not signed up yet.
Okay.
Tom Barton, you have not signed up. I'm going to send you a new link. Brian Astle, I'll just send you a new link, so it's a fresh link. I don't think there's an expiration on them, but I'll just send you a new link. And I don't, Gary, let's see. I don't see you on here.
I'm right below there.
Oh, right here?
Yep.
Okay, well, it sounds to me like you already signed up and you have an account. So you've already accepted.
So that account must have carried over from last year?
I don't think so. It's possible, but I didn't think it was set up that way.
Okay,
Yeah.
so it doesn't matter. As long as I'm in and signed up, I'm fine. Thanks.
Yeah. And so when you sign up, you're going to, you'll see off to the left-hand side here, it says account, and you hit that account. Excuse me. I might be, because I'm set up as an admin, I might be seeing something a little bit different than everybody else.
Up there, the scheduling one is where you go to view the operating schedule.
And this is also where they log in?
No, you're already logged in.
Yeah, but if we had somebody like Brian or Gary who needs to log in, if they select one of those, it'll ask for their login.
They won't see those.
So where do they actually prompt to get logged in?
They will get an email with an invitation link, and that link has a token in it that's unique to them.
Yeah.
and that's associated with their account. And they basically just need to enter a password when they click the link in their email.
Yeah. And then once they do that and say they get to the web page, they log out, right? And they come in the next day, what are the operators going to see on the left-hand side here?
So
as an activator?
if you click sign out down there on the left,
Yeah.
then that will show you what they would see.
Okay.
And
So they'll just click on activators.
Yep, correct.
They'll click on activators. They'll be asked to log in. Okay. And then now they won't see as many things as I'm seeing because I'm an admin, but they will see.
Yeah, they'll see basically everything except for this admin page or any of the stuff that's linked to from that page.
Okay. So if they go to scheduling, they'll see the scheduling where they can, we'll go through the scheduling here in more detail on how to set up a schedule. They'll see where the operator's guide is so they can download a copy of that. They'll see where they can upload their logs. And I highly recommend reading the FAQs. So Tom, even if you haven't gone through all the way through the operating guide, definitely go through the FAQs.
Now there's a way to log through this portal, correct?
Yeah, and we'll show you how that works
Okay,
here in
thank
the
you.
agenda. So for example, right here, there's a thing called create logs and log QSOs. I'll step you through how to do that when we get to that part of the agenda. Okay. Okay. So let me just go through the operating guide here. So we talked about signups, license, and call. This is just like field day because you signed up and you got to log in. You're getting permission to use the W7 AIA call sign. So you're going to use that call sign. You're not going to use your personal call sign. Now, there are folks that are going to be calling CQ because they're doing POTA at the same time. If you want to give out your personal call sign, that's fine. In addition to the W7 AIA, and you give somebody that's working a park out there two POTA points, right? But for everything that we're doing for Lewis and Clark, you're using W7 AIA as the call sign. Now, that brings up another thing. We're going to have a Lewis and Clark station at CPAC. That's in Oregon. If you want to operate from that, you're going to be using the call sign for Oregon. So Ron O'Connor is going to be at that table at CPAC. He'll give you permission to use the radio. You use Aardvark's call sign. You won't use W7 AIA. Every call sign is associated with a state. So if we go back to the home page here, you'll notice down at the bottom here that these are all the clubs. And if there's a hunter out there trying to get Idaho, they're going to be looking for these two call signs calling CQ. They're the only ones that count. Same thing with Illinois. They're going to be looking for these two call signs. Oregon, these are the two call signs. And the only way you can use these call signs is you have to get a login and sign up with that club. Now, we don't have a lot of that, but it turns out Lewis and Clark went up a river. And coincidentally, on one side of a river is one state and the other side of the river is another state. So it is possible that we have people like our club that's very close to a river, and we have folks in our club that are from Oregon. We're asking anybody that's in our club, they're going to be signed up for W7 AIA. They have to be within the state boundaries of Washington to call for Washington. If you're going to be in the state of Oregon, then please sign up with Aardvark or the one of the other Oregon clubs. And you also have to work under your license parameters. So even though W7 AIA, we have extras, I'm an extra and I'm the trustee, this is not field day in that we don't have control operators at your location that's at an extra class. So whoever is commanding your station, you have to basically operating under your class of license. Now, any questions on that part? Okay, the exchange. This is not a contest, it's an operating event. And we run this event very similar to Parks on the Air, if you're familiar with that, in that only the activating station keeps the log. All logging is only done by the activating station. So there's all these hunters out there, they're trying to get a certificate. They don't need to keep a log and submit a log. Now, if they want to submit a log to Log of the World, that's up to them. But they're not required to for this event. When you're logging a contact as an activator, all your logging is the person's state, their call sign in the state. That's what you need. That is required for this event. Now, if you can log their name and their RST, that is optional. So for the contesting or for the software, we're recommending using NAQP contest exchange. And the reason why is because it has everything we need. It has the state, and of course it has the name. And although there isn't a place for the RST, it automatically puts it in the ADA file as a 5.9 or a 5.99, depending if it's CW or voice. So, and if you're doing using that N1MM NAQP contest format and somebody doesn't give you the name, just put an X in. If you don't put an X in or you don't put some character in, it's not going to allow you to go and log the contact. But to make it easier on the CW operators, we're just saying all I need is what's your call sign and what state are you calling from. That is it. This is just a 2-letter designation for the state. If it's DX, just put DX in. If it's VE, because it's out of Canada, you know, it's BC for British Columbia, AB for Alberta, SK for Saskatchewan, and so on. We're just going to use those same type of designators that we use for NAQP. And if somebody is out of those Canada and the US, then we just put DX in as the state, and that's just fine. The contest software will take that. And that applies to both phone and CW. Now for FT8 and FT4, we're basically using just the straight FT8 exchange that FT8 works with. Oftentimes that is a signal, a grid location, and it has its own type of signal report that is automated. So don't try to capture a person's name or state if you're using FT8. Just use FT8 out of the box as that program is set up. Now, one of the things, was there a question?
Sorry to interrupt, Tim. That's kind of a bad example because Burns still has his own call sign there, and that would actually be W7AIA if you're operating for the event.
You're right. Right. This is all he gave me.
Yeah.
But you're right. Yeah, this would be the W7AIA because that's what you have to call for. You're not using your own call sign.
Yeah, I typically just go into the WSJTX settings and change the call sign in there, and then it propagates automatically, and then I change it back when I'm done.
Yep. Same thing with N1MM. If you're using that and NAQP, you just go in and change your station data to put in W7AIA as your station, as opposed to using your own personal call sign. Now you can modify this transmit line 6. This is the CQ. If you want to, you can put CQ, LCT, W7AIA, and then you can put the grid in there, and you can call CQ that way. However, you don't necessarily have to. Keep in mind, the hunters are out there. They're looking at the operating schedule of when you said you're going to be on the air, and they already know what your call sign is for your state, because that's on the home page, and it's also on the schedule. So And it doesn't really matter. And the people that are hunting you will find you because it's on the schedule and they know how to work the schedule. Everybody else, you're just making contacts with. So don't worry about if you don't get this CQ LCT in here. Don't worry about that. So for logging, I already touched a little bit about that, but probably the most important part is no paper logs. And I would highly recommend not doing the paper log and then transcribing it. You can. I do know that there's folks that do SOTA and they're going to do POTA. And there's folks that when they set up a POTA, they just write down the time and they do a paper log. That's fine. With the web-based logging that we have now, you can actually put that time in. But what we really want to avoid is the errors that are associated with paper logs. And we'd like to get those logs uploaded basically after your shift. So we talked about N1MM.
Question?
Go ahead.
Question on N1MM. If we go in and we modify line 6 down there to put W7AIA, do we also have to go into the configuration settings and change that to W7AIA, or just leave it with our own call sign?
Well, you're going to use N1MM mostly just for single sideband and CW. You won't use that for FT8. There is the NAQP default contest doesn't work with FT8.
I actually record my FT8 into N1MM.
Okay, well you can, but do you also use JTX or whatever it's called?
WSJTX.
I think it's probably logging it into that, but I don't use that file. I have my FT8 and my sideband contacts all combined into one file on the N1MM.
So if you're using FT8 source and that's just pushing into N1MM, it should still keep whatever station ID you put in FT8. Here's the thing: put a contact in there before the event and test it out and see what happens. And if it doesn't work out, you have two choices: either try to fix the FT8 software so it recognizes your station data, or know that before you turn in your log, you're going to have to go into N1MM or something and just change your station data that way.
Okay.
I think there's also a free program out there called ADF Master or something like that, and that's another way you can modify your call sign, like with a search and replace after you get done with your log. So AC log, it doesn't matter if you use AC log, HAMRS, all those are fine as long as you capture the call sign in the state. Now, let me briefly, since we're talking about logging, show you what we have for logging online. You have two choices here. You can log in real time, or you can log a contact later on. So real-time logging is, I have this toggle right here. I can change from real-time or not real-time. Real-time will capture this UTC clock here and put it in the log. And so when you go to operate, you know what you're going to say. Say you set up for 20 meters because that's what you signed up for in the schedule. Say you put in 14.312. You're going to operate single sideband, and you're going to put your call sign in.
That's the call of the person you're logging.
Oh, that's right. You're going to put so this is just set up the basics. So when you contact somebody, say Rick, for some reason, I contact him or he answers my CQ. I'm going to put in KT7G. If I know he'd be giving me his name, I put that in. and for the state, I'm going to put in Washington. And then I can go ahead and hit the save button, and it'll go ahead and log that contact. Now you'll notice that it still remembered I'm on 20 meters and I'm still at what frequency. Was there a question? Okay.
I've got one on the HF bands where there is a specified calling frequency. What's the protocol? Sitting on that frequency or not?
Well, I'm not too sure what you're talking about there. So pick a clear frequency and call CQ. I would probably highly recommend not sitting on the slow scan, because those guys are pretty annoying. They'll override you with a whole bunch of noise. Stay within the band plan.
Okay, well, the band plan has, for some of the frequencies, I don't know if it's all the HF bands, but some of them have a specified calling frequency.
Well,
For sideband?
Yeah.
no. Well, I think, there might be a special frequency for calling DX. I've seen that. Try to stay off of that one. But other than that, there really isn't much.
Okay.
So just find a clear frequency, make sure you're within your license. What I'm trying to point out here is if you're using this logging, it'll remember what band you're on and what frequency you're on. You don't have to change that for every contact. And you're calling CQ, which means you're pretty much staying on that frequency. Somebody runs you off to a different frequency because, they got too close, then go to whatever your new frequency is, and then it'll just keep remembering that.
Yeah. Well,
It's worth noting that if you change the frequency here, it's not going to change the frequency in your activation schedule that's published on the website.
Right.
So you'd have to change it at both places if you want to be spotted at the correct frequency.
If you want people to find you, then we highly recommend that you go into the schedule and update the schedule for whatever frequency you're going to be calling CQ on.
okay. I think there isn't under the software, the logging software has capability with my ICOM 71 to read what the display is. As I change, it would change, I think.
Well, if you use N1MM or AC log or some of those other logging softwares where you're running logging on your computer, then yes, your computer and your logging software will talk. This web-based logging does not talk to your computer. So
okay. Well, I was going to use NM11 or use that because I've got that on my system. I just haven't worked with it very much. And I see in your paperwork what I've seen so far. I haven't totally digested it, but it looks like you have a very good examples and explanation.
So what I'm describing here is for people that don't have N1M, don't have AC log, how they can log their contacts using the web portal.
Okay.
Okay. So
I'll do that.
If you do change this frequency here and you just find the frequency that you told folks when you schedule this a week ahead of time is going to change, once you find your frequency, go ahead to your schedule and update it, because that kind of works as our own little spotting network so people know where to find you. And it's dynamic. You can change it at any time. You can change your mode, you can change your what band you're on, and so on. Now, the other thing this allows you to do is, say you went out and did Parks on the Air and you were on a picnic table with a pad of paper, and you want to then manually put in that dozen contacts you made when you were at a park, you can go to the non-real-time mode, and then you just manually type in the time and the date. Remember, this is UTC, so you'll have to convert to UTC if you were writing down your time in local time. Also, if you get a contact from a hunter and they said, hey, I made contact with you, you're my only Washington state, and you just figured out you logged this contact wrong, right? He gave you an I and it should have been an L. right? An honest mistake. It's okay for you to correct your log if you need to. This isn't a contest. This isn't like you turn in your log, one and done. This is an operating event. We want people to have fun. And if people make a mistake if you make a mistake on your log, you can go ahead and correct that. So either you can go into your own logging software, type in the corrected information and resubmit it, or what you can do is manually put in that one contact with the correct call sign and submit that one contact through this manual logging. That's another way to do it. By the way, this only works with sideband and CW and FM voice. It does not work with FT8. But then again, with FT8, you know, I tell you, it either works or I find it doesn't work. Rarely do I see garbled call signs. So most of the errors that we get is typically with somebody on CW or somebody voice didn't quite hear the call sign correctly. Any questions on that? Okay. So, and by the way, if you make a mistake or need to edit something, you can go here and edit. Maybe it was actually KT1G and they were in Oklahoma, right? So you can do that and hit save. Or if you find out it was just a bad, or maybe you just want to play with this to see if it works. Put in a few, get the hang of it, and then when you're all done, just go ahead and delete it. By the way, if you want to practice uploading a log from N1MM to see if it works, or if you want to practice with this, you're more than welcome to. At the time we start this event, Jason goes in and he cleans everything out. So don't worry about practicing with this ahead of time and leaving trash in the system. We know when the event starts, we know when it ends, and we do a pretty good job of cleaning things up. Also, don't worry about duplicates. From a logging standpoint, we would prefer if you uploaded your log after every session that you did. If you sat down for 2 hours and then you in the morning, and then you're going to be out and about mowing the lawn, taking care of the kids' picnic and all that kind of stuff, and then you're going to operate later on in the evening, I would encourage you to, if you can, go ahead and submit your log first in the morning. And then when you're done with your operating at night, go ahead and submit your log at night. Now, if it's all within the same day, I think it's okay if you just do it all within the same day. What we do want to avoid is people just holding on to their log and just turning it in at the end of the event. Because what the hunters want some feedback on how they're doing. And so a hunter can actually go in here and they can, let's see where we have the hunters. Oh yeah, Hunter's My Progress. A hunter can actually go here, type in their call sign, and actually see how many contacts they've made. And the sooner you put their log and their contact in, the sooner they will see that they get credit and they got contact for that state. So that's some of the near real-time feedback we're trying to give to the hunters, that when they make a contact, if people get their logs uploaded within a day, they'll see that they've actually made contact for that state, and then they can work on the other states. Let's take a quick look at the schedule for those that aren't familiar with the scheduling. For us, all our schedules for Washington is shown in Pacific time zone. So it's right here, time shown in club time zone, which is Pacific time zone. So when you're looking at setting up a time to activate, you can just look at your watch. You don't have to do some type of UTC translation. And so to schedule an activation, you want it, it's a new activation, right? And you're scheduling a new time to sit down. So you hit new activation. I'm going to pick 15 meters because I like 15 meters. I'm going to go with single sideband voice. I'm going to estimate my frequency is going to be 21.350. And let's see, I want to do Friday night. And the soonest I can start is Friday night is 5 p.m. So it's going to put 5 p.m. in there. Let's see, I got to eat dinner. So 7 p.m. is as soon as I can be on. Oops. Oh, hold on a second. Okay, so I've selected 7 p.m. and it's automatically going to put in a 2-hour time frame. You can actually modify that, I think, Jason, so it doesn't go. I think you can actually change that to say 1 hour.
Yes.
And you can change the
Yeah.
minutes. So if you only want to operate a half hour, you can do that.
Yes.
So I signed up for an hour on 21:30 and I hit save. And by the way, it won't allow you to sign up for a time that somebody else has already taken. But it's so important that you make sure you sign up for the correct band and you just don't jump to another band. I can't just, because I signed up for 20 on 15 meters, I can't just jump to 20 right away because I found 15 to be dead. I need to go back and schedule it, because if there's somebody else on 20 meters, they could also be on the air at the same time. And because they're local, you don't hear them. So it's very important that you go in there and check the schedule and schedule your time. You can do it dynamically. I'm set here at KD7RUS. I'm currently at 21,350. If I get on there and I find out 21,350 has a net, I just go in here and I edit my schedule by hitting the pencil mark. And I go all the way to the bottom. So there's a lot of things on the screen here. It might look like nothing happened, but it literally opened up my schedule at the bottom of the screen. And I can go in here to say, I'm going to move up to 21,450 and save it. And then now I'm at 21,450. So if you need to bounce around while you're activating, it's that easy to change your schedule. Remember, hit the pencil for the edit, but now you're going to have to scroll down to see the screen. If you don't remember to scroll down, then you're going to go, oh, well, I don't see where I can change my data. Just remember to scroll down.
Hey, Tim, it looks like you could overlap the day and time, but not overlap the frequency, correct?
Yeah. Yeah, we can we cannot have two people on the same band on the same mode at the same time.
Okay.
We can literally
overlap.
have 3
You can
different
overlap
people on the
frequencies.
same band at the same time. Now I can also look at, I can go through a filter here and I can just see my, so I don't see everybody. Right now it's showing me everybody that's in our club that's activating. That's one nice view if you want to see, okay, well, if I want to be on 20 meters, well, who's all on 20 meters? And then who's all on 20 meters for, say, a particular date of the event, like on Friday night? Well, it turns out there's only one person on that. And they're going to be operating from 6 to 8. So I could literally sign up now from, say, 8 to 10. Or if they're working sideband, I can say, oh, well, they're on sideband. I can work CW at that exact same time, or FT8. So you can use these filters here to see who is operating at what time, so that it makes it easier to find the overlap so that you pick a free time on the schedule. Okay, so let me go back here and I'm going to take that out because I will probably get on earlier. Okay, so let me just go ahead and delete that one. Okay. All right, any questions on how to put your time in the schedule to activate, or the web-based logging? Okay. Let's
I
move
have
on.
a question.
Yeah, go ahead, John.
How do I get from the web-based logging to an ADF file? Do I have to transcribe something somewhere?
We can get you yeah, let's go take a look at that. So if you're logging QSOs here, you're logging those on behalf of W7 AIA. So you don't get an ADI file. You don't get an ADIF.
Okay. This is my first time doing this. I'm greener than grass.
Right. So here's the thing is, if you use N1MM or using AC log or HAMRS or one of those, well, then that logging sits on your computer, and then we need you to upload that to this website. But if you use the web-based logging software at the site, it's already creating an ADI file and it's real time.
Sweet.
And as I said, you don't need to get this logging software talking to your radio. You do have to keep in mind that as you change your frequency to call CQ somewhere else, you do have to put that frequency in here.
Right.
But we suspect the way this works is you have to call CQ. So it's not like you're controlling the dial like we do at field day looking for a station. That's not the way this event works. Everybody, all the hunters are doing that, but you're not.
Okay, right. Got that. Now, what if I want a hard copy of this for my own records?
We probably can get that for you. You are using the club's call sign, but we can probably get that for you at the end of the event. We do, as an admin, have the ability to create an ADIF file for the entire event. So
Okay,
admin section, which we have a few people, we do have an ADIF export. So we can export to all the clubs the entire ADIF file for everybody that operated. And of
all
course,
right, that's a can of worms I don't want to open. Never mind.
okay. If you do create a file with N1MM and you export an ADI file, an ADIF,
Mhm.
or AC log, then you're going to use this import. So it knows you're the activator. It's got your name,
Right.
and you just navigate to wherever you save that ADI file on your C drive.
Okay.
And you select that file and you hit save. Like I said, now some people, they will create a separate log for every time they sit at the computer. And some people, they will just want to have one ADI or one log for the entire event. We don't care. You can take the
Right.
same log and just keep uploading it and adding contacts and uploading and adding contacts. Does it create some duplicates in the system? It does, but our robot can handle it. And it's not a contest, so we're not concerned about duplicates. As long as person makes one contact with you as W7AIA, they get credit for it, and that's what counts.
Got it.
And then you can view all the logs, your logs that you've uploaded.
Wait.
Now, you'll notice that there's a file name. I was going to get this into the operating guide, but there is a file name that we would like you to use. And what that does is it helps us when we have problems, when people says, hey, I was operating at this time and we have a problem. It helps us when we can see what the logging, when the call sign is in the log. It helps us to be able to track down where something got missed. So in the operating guide, you will see where we've asked for a file format for the naming the file right here. So I have that highlighted. That's what we'd like to see the file. So it basically just insert your call sign and whatever the date is. Now, the robot will still take it without that. It's just that, like I said, if there's a problem with one of the logs that got uploaded or somebody complains that they didn't get contact, it's just easier for us to track things down when there's a call sign and a date associated with it.
Okay.
Jim?
Yeah.
Reference that file name. Did you guys consider putting a time hack on it? Say the start time incorporated in that file name?
No.
Okay.
No.
I don't know if that would be beneficial or not.
Yeah, we talked about it. We decided just keep it to what the date is.
Okay.
Operating technique. You are the beacon. You need to call CQ. If you haven't done this before, you could literally call CQ, this is W7AIA, calling CQ for the Lewis and Clark Trail on the air special event, calling CQ from Washington State. Now, if you're a CW operator, you'll probably want to abbreviate that.
Yeah.
But and when you're getting into a run and you get a pileup, obviously you're just going to say this is W7AIA QRZ. But during those stretches when there's, people are trying to find you, it's just best just call CQ and put your call sign out there and what the special event is. Obviously, be courteous. If there's a net on your frequency and somebody contacts you and asks you to move, please move. They don't know who you are, but they do know that you're using the W7AIA call sign. So, you're an ambassador of the club. We talked about how to submit a log. So I don't think we need to go over that anymore. There's some basic N1MM instructions for using NAQP CW and NAQP single sideband. You put in the call, you put in the person's name is optional. So if you don't get the person's name, just put an X there, but you do need to put the state in. And if it's the DX, I think we said go ahead and put DX in. To change your station data in N1MM, go change your station data. And for your call here, instead of like Vern, instead of having his call, he put W7AIA in, and that'll put in the correct call in the ADIF log. Now, I know for contesting and people that use N1MM, we're used to submitting a Cabrillo file to the contest robot. We're not using the Cabrillo file, we're just using the ADI file. And then if you're using N1MM, you use export ADIF to file. That's when you put the file name in with W7AI, your call, and what the date is, save it, and go ahead and then upload it. We talked about the web page logging. And I think that is about it. So any questions, or Marilyn or Jason or Rick, did you think if there's anything we need to, I didn't touch on that you think we need to mention?
Yeah, Stanley here.
Hey, Stan.
I tried for 10 minutes on another computer to get this to come up, and I finally went to my laptop and it came up. The place where I put it on the C drive, do I go to the NAQP or whatever, and then go file save as to create a location, or does it go automatically to a?
Are you you're talking about using N1MM as a logging software?
AC log.
I don't know about AC log. Just find a place that you can find and do a save as to that. If you want to create your own little folder that says Lewis and Clark Trail on the Air 2024, just keep saving your logs for AC log to that location, and then you'll know where to find them.
Then .ADI.
It should put the .ADI on there automatically if it's an ADI, if you selected export to an ADF file.
Okay.
We don't want a Cabrillo file.
No. So I'm glad we can practice live and see what happens. All right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry I was late, but I was trying since 10 minutes to 7, but nothing worked.
We were all here, Stan.
One other thing I would like to say is that, say you're not doing a pile up and, you've been on for a minute and you've got one contact coming in. Let them know who you are and let them know that you're with the club that is doing Lewis and Clark. You would be surprised the people that get a big kick out of that. They really enjoy making contact with the people that are actually doing the event, the club that's doing the event. just let them know. I'm willing to bet you're going to get some good thank yous.
Oh, this is not a contest. If somebody contacts you on the same band, on the same mode, twice in one morning, once in the evening, and then 3 times every day, so what? Just log it. Now, N1MM will show it up as a duplicate. That's fine. You can force it to say log it. But this is not a contest. You're going to make contacts with people over and over again. It's not a contest. It's just an operating event. Make contact with them. Put it in the log. Any other questions? Now,
Tim, this Wayne.
yeah, Wayne.
If talking about FT8, FT4, can both of those operate at the same time on the same band?
Sure.
They're currently set up as completely separate modes.
Okay. So I can run FT8 and Tim can run FT4 on the same band.
Yep. But if you're on FT8 and you decide you want to try FT4 out, you'll need to go check and make sure that Tim's not on there.
Okay. That's good. Thank you.
Sure.
Now, the first weekend is CPAC weekend. I'm going to be around on Friday night and Saturday. Sunday, I need to travel overseas for the week. So I will, if you send me an email asking me a question on how something works, I'm going to be slow to respond. So you can always send an email to Marilyn or Jason and ask them a question. I'll be back the following week as questions pop up.
Is that the airplane that do a layover in West Virginia?
I hope not. I hope I get a fresh plane. One with a tight fitting door.
Okay.
Any other questions or anything else I need to demonstrate? Well, I would encourage, thank you everybody for signing up. Get on the air absolutely as much as possible. We want a target rich environment. We want to make sure all the hunters out there have plenty of opportunities to contact W7AIA, and we want to make more contacts than the other Washington club that's out there, right? So a lot of things to motivate us. Just get on the air and have fun.
So it is a contest.
Yeah. If you want to personalize as a contest, then okay, Brian, I'm going to make more contacts than you. All right. I'm motivated.
No, I mean compared to the other Washington club.
It's a personal contest. You want to make more than the other guy.
Yeah, now we haven't told the other guys that, so I'm not too sure that's very fair. That's like, running for like 5 minutes and says, we're going to have a race. Catch me. So I'm not sure.
For me.
Well, we can also make our personal contacts too when we're not activating.
You can be a hunter. If you're not an activator for W7AIA, and you can only be an activator for W7AIA because you signed up for our club, then you're a hunter, and nothing stops you from using your own call sign and just going out and contacting W7AIA and all the other 15 states out there. I would encourage it.
Cool beans.
All right, folks, test things out, try it out. You got plenty of time. You can upload dummy logs if you want. If you got questions on everything but FT8, go ahead and send them to us. And I just don't know a lot about FT8. Sorry. I can do it. All right. Thanks for joining tonight, folks. Have a good evening.
Have a good night, everyone.
You too.
Good night.
Good night, everyone.
Good night.